All right, DJ, I had a great idea. It's kind of hard to explain, but I'm going to do my best. It's a city in space, but the city is so large that it stretches between stars. My name's Ezekiel.
And I'm DJ, and you're listening to World Crafting.
So,
So, Ezekiel, what would the point of a city between stars be? How could you possibly have a city that big?
so that's part of. So I'm trying to think of like a dystopian esque like at one point there was this heavily sophisticated like civilization and it's gone like kind of like a post-apocalyptic esque thing, but like instead of being like on a planet you're like in the interior of this empty city that is constantly being built by um not constantly being built by robots. That's actually another idea um from somebody else. But this city was is like hundreds of millions of years old and
Right.
is continuously being built by robots.
Okay.
And like it stretches between multiple stars. It,
Okay.
it's just it's massive. It's like it's almost too big to comprehend.
I would say it probably is because light years are they're pretty big, and that's there's a lot of light years between stars.
So I just wanted that as thing. I know that there is a Japanese manga writer that he has done a um an idea like this before, but in his idea, like the city's constantly being I think dismantled and being built in front of it, and then and then like the monster and then the robots are like hunting the humans down and like killing them. I don't really want to go with that angle. I want more like there are civilizations that are like clustered around stars, but then there are like these no man's land, like in between in all the empty space, where like I don't know, like gypsies and vagabonds live, and maybe things
Okay.
that were captured along the way.
Okay.
So like think of it like what do you think lives in a what kind of organisms live in an empty city that in the middle of empty space. Like don't think humans. I think like organisms, like very like almost like these large like think like a creature that would be something that the
Yeah.
vagabonds and the gypsy people that live in the no man's land would have to watch out for.
Yeah, they'd have to be. I would imagine it'd get pretty cold out there.
There's no heat.
So they'd have to be either like immune to the cold or self-heating somehow.
Ooh, I like it. Like stars have fusion, like nuclear fusion constantly happening. So like there's these fusion creatures. Like
Yeah, like fire creatures, except instead of fire, there's it's fusion. That'd be interesting.
mm-hmm.
It would probably be visually similar, but possibly the execution would be different.
And how would these creatures
Okay,
like
so
would these creatures be tame, angry?
I think these creatures would just be like constantly looking for something. I don't know. Like maybe
Energy.
they're hunting each other to harvest the other creature's fusion, or maybe they're
Mm.
constantly hunting for other sources of energy, or maybe they're constantly searching organic matter because
Would
it's so rare.
would they be like hunting where like a star was?
Maybe. No, I don't, because isn't the city between stars? So
Well, I
how
mean,
would
no,
there be a star
like it
between stars?
like it encompasses stars.
Mm. So they found some of the stars and consumed them.
Do I doubt that's the question? If they're consuming,
Uh,
if they're consuming stars, these creatures, or does the star like consume them, or are they born out of a star? Like,
mm, that's a good question.
great question.
Like scientists a long, long time ago when the city was first built around a star. Okay, so it's like this, I guess. So there's this highly advanced planet
Mm-hmm.
comes across some sort of I guess it doesn't come across. It takes its star and it builds this laboratory around it to
Uh-huh.
harness the energy and to use it for experiments and whatnot.
Dyson
Okay.
sphere.
Yeah, exactly. But they don't have enough space because they need these big batteries to harness this power, and they need
How
all
big?
this room for all these like huge, 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 so huge,
Good.
and they don't have enough room, so they build these robots to build uh to make their laboratory bigger. And they are so smart that they build the robots in such a way that they're self-sustaining, and they just are going to keep building. And they're like, well, we'll just tell them to stop whenever we have a laboratory that's big enough. um Plot twist, they never tell them to stop, hence why there's the city between stars. And so the scientists are experimenting on this star, right? And so they shoot things into it, and then out of it comes these star fusion creatures from their experiment. And because of that, the star dies and it kills everyone in the laboratory in the Dyson sphere or whatever it's called. And so everyone's dead, so they can't tell the robots to stop building the city. So it just keeps building the laboratory bigger and bigger and bigger, and it builds it to this star over here, and then it keeps building to this star over there, and it keeps going. And then hundreds and millions and years later, uh, these people from this other planet come and they see this giant city just stretching across space for light years. And so they try to start exploring it, but it's so big that the more people they can just keep putting people and people and people on it, but it's they're not filling it up because it's so big. And so they find that the space between stars is kind of unlivable, but the space around the stars is very, very much livable. And so those people who found the city, uh, their planet experiences a catastrophe of some kind, where everyone has to move off of the city, off of the planet, and so they just move into this giant city and populate it. And uh, the closest real estate to the stars is obviously the most expensive. And so the further away from the star you get, the more you get into
Y-
these.
do you think around where like the Goldilocks zone, um, like where life can exist, like the thin gap to like where the Earth is at, like it's not too far away from the sun, it's not too close. Do you think that around basically almost like a sphere around the star in this massive city that there's this Goldilocks zone and it's like the only place that organic life can be grown?
Yeah, maybe not a full sphere fully encompassing the star, but certainly something like that.
And I like how it's like the entire city isn't a city, it's a laboratory that the that has been built. So technically the entire city does have a purpose. And what was
Yeah,
like what you originally say it was to harness the power of a star?
yeah,
And
exactly.
so and since they were never told to stop, they've been just gathering stars in
Yeah,
the city
exactly.
and the entire city is a star. And like visually I almost want this city to be like a labyrinth of sorts. Like these venturing um people from other planets that have found this massive city. Like once they go in, they go like one layer deep. Like they almost can't find their way back out.
Yeah, yeah,
Like sonar doesn't work and communications don't work. And they go into a certain corridor that they fly their ship in, and everything just looks different from within there. Almost like I want like the feeling of splunking, like where you like underwater dive into caves and you go, I'm
underwater
gonna,
diving.
yeah, underwater diving
That's
or scuba dive,
terrifying.
yeah, scuba diving into a cave, because there are stories of these scuba divers that go into a cool cave going, oh, I'll just swim right back out. And they turn around
Nope,
and it looks
nope.
completely different. They can't even see the hole that they swam through. And then they
Yeah,
die. And then their air runs out and they just die there.
yeah.
And
That
so,
is a very true thing that happens.
and so
But
what it,
also, I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh, okay. No, 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 go ahead. I just got done talking.
Okay, so, but also, I think a lot of the city looks the exact same.
Mm-hmm.
So you can never really know where you are
You never know where you're at.
because this part looks the exact same as that part. So you're like, oh, I know where I am. But it turns out you don't because you're in a completely different part that looks the exact same.
It's like you thought you were there, but now you're here, and it's just like you're
Yeah.
trying to get back out, but you're just never back out. I
Yeah. Because
and
you think that this way is out, and so you keep following this way and you keep following this way. But that's not actually the way out. You're actually getting deeper in. And the deeper in you go, the less likely it is for you to come out. So you might as well just hunker down and figure
like
out a way to survive.
just figure out a way to survive. Maybe that's where like a lot of the vagabonds and gypsies and wandering people have came from. Like they were these lost like spacefaring people, and they just got lost in this massive labyrinth of a city. But at the same time,
Yeah.
it is a laboratory. I almost want there to be like these massive energy pulses that pulse through the entire city and
Oh, yeah, for sure.
seem to go somewhere, like to a central point. But where that central point is, nobody has yet found.
Right.
And maybe
Right.
there is where whatever
Right.
like
Because,
it's like is the main controlling the controlling platform for the city, because the city's almost living because it's a laboratory.
right. So, probably, uh, what happened is when the scientists or whoever built the city, they built it around their star
Mm-hmm.
and then they built it out away from there. But they probably didn't only build in one direction. They probably, and we'll just say they picked like 5 or 6 stars, maybe, right? Different directions, up, down, left, right, whatever, and told their robots to build toward those stars so that uh,
So like this.
everything would be coming back to that original laboratory around that original star.
Mm-hmm.
Everything would be sending information there, everything would be sending energy there as it expands in multiple directions with multiple wings of the city.
of the city.
Yeah.
But as easy as it was for us to describe that, it needs to almost like as a person living there, it needs to feel almost impossible to know how to get there. Like they need like these energy pulses that basically like point the way. But it would be like being lost in a forest that you don't know how big it is, and all you know is to go
Right.
north. And you're just going north. And
Exactly.
you've been going north for years, like
Because
decades, and you haven't
the
found
part
anything.
the part of the laboratory that or the part of the city that is the laboratory doesn't look special at all because the sun is dead. The
Hmm.
star is dead. So it looks like just a regular part of the city. So even if somebody, even if someone arrived there and found the source, so to say, that person might not even know that that was where everything was going because it just looks like a regular part of the city because there's no star.
So do you think people in this city, the lost people or the people that survived the cataclysm and carved their way out a civilization or a crude civilization, that they have already found the control center, and yet they don't know that they found it, or like they've been like they're right
Um,
next to it, like it's being right next to like the key that you need. You can't see it. You can't find it.
I think possibly they could have found it. It's hard to say what would have happened. What would happen? So probably not actually. It would probably just be in the distance. It'd be on the horizon. So basically, the stars they found, and like I said, they went in multiple directions. So multiple different civilizations or planets or species or whatever found these cities that are being built. Um, and they found different parts of them too, different stars, and they look. So they arrive at one place and they look. They see the city going that way, right on the horizon. It's
Hmm.
just over there, and so they think to map it. They think to explore it, but since everything looks the same and some of it looks completely different, like we have said, it's really hard to map and it's really hard to get
Yeah,
anywhere. So
like map makers
cartography
are
is
like, and
taking, yeah,
like
exactly.
map
It's
makers
taking
are crazy,
cartographers forever to get anywhere because
and everybody thinks they're
they
crazy.
keep losing people.
Yeah,
And they're just like, he was here. Where did he go? And he's just gone.
it's gone. I also thought it would be really cool to have like these wandering gypsies making like all of the lost people in like the no man's land. They're all making these pilgrimages to wherever these massive energy waves are going,
Right,
and they
right,
haven't been there yet. And then some are starting hundreds of millions of light years away, and some
right,
have been going for hundreds of millions of years, like doing this pilgrimage. Like there's children's
right,
children to the upteenth
right.
degree of descendant has been making
Generation, yeah.
this pilgrimage.
Right, and they're just following the pulsing
They're
energy
just
that's getting
following.
sent from the stars to the original laboratory,
Like they're
basically.
and so what would happen if one of these if somebody found they found the control center? What would happen if like a bunch of kids found the control center?
They'd probably turn on the self-destruct function.
You think they would do that? There's a big red button with a
And they'd
glass
say,
over it.
ooh, shiny. I don't know. I don't know that the laboratory has any special powers. It's just like where all the information is. So that I mean, they
Maybe
would
there's
if they
maybe there's a map
figured
of the
it
entire
out, they could
city.
learn the history Yeah, yeah. No, that's a good point.
What if
There
there's a
would be
way
because
to
the
control the
robots
city?
would be sending the data,
Mm.
like the
W-
blueprints of what they've built
What if you could control
to
the
the
robots?
laboratory. Yeah, you could probably do that too. Alter their orders so they're doing something instead of just building mindlessly.
Well, I mean, they're building a city to around stars, actually stretching from. They're building a Dyson sphere. They're building a laboratory made to harness the power of a star, and they've done it
Right.
to, at this point, I don't know if you want to say hundreds of stars, because that would be. I mean, maybe we want to do hundreds of stars. Maybe we want to make this city so unbelievably massive that when people think of space, imagine that we were just a dot in the middle of a massive
And
structure.
everything's just connected.
Well, I mean, there's no space anymore. So, like, replace space with just a massive structure.
Wow.
That's kind of crazy to think
That's
about
hard
it.
to imagine because space is so much space.
There's so much space in space. And if you try to fill it
Yeah.
with something, it is hard to imagine. But, like, so let's go back to this
Wonder where all
laboratory
those.
for a second. So, in this
Oh,
laboratory, you control the lab. What you got?
this is what I have. The robots are building a city.
Uh huh.
Cities are built out of something. Where are the robots getting the something from?
Ooh. So, I got a couple ideas. One of
The
them is
stars?
they're mining
A black
asteroids.
hole.
They're mining planets, like any planet in a solar system. They literally just rip it apart. Take every piece
Mhm.
of valuable that it has.
That's
So
pretty terrifying.
so like a solar system around ours, I mean it would all be replaced with city that stretches around the star,
Hmm.
and all the
Hmm.
planets in it would just be torn apart. All the gases converted into energy and all the stone and metal. But then there's another thing, we are in the future. So we could make atomizers or atom generators that manipulate atoms. I mean, they're technically
Molecular reconstruction.
molecular reconstruction. They're basically building a giant fusion. There's a fusion battery, which is a star that they could use all that energy to connect and rearrange atoms to be any orientation that they need them to become steel or metal or water or
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean
Right.
at this point they could manipulate particle physics, and they're just
Particle.
but I don't know a whole lot about particle physics though.
Yeah. Neither do I.
So we'll leave those to the professionals. We'll keep playing with
Yeah.
atoms and stuff.
So, uh, that is an idea, and then it just absolutely demolishes any, like, every civilization it comes across, it just consumes it.
It just consumes
And it like, what's the word? Assimilates it.
it. It's yeah.
Assimilates it
Maybe
into
this
the
is
city.
in the future. There was civilizations all over space, and
Hmm.
some of the people that live in this city were once people that lived on a planet, and they saw this
Right.
wall coming towards them.
But the
But
planet got
oh, dude, but think about
absorbed.
this. Think about this. If we're on a planet and we're seeing a wall of a city heading towards us, we would see it for hundreds of light years,
Yeah.
and it would get closer and closer and closer. And you would what would like the city, the planet would be like trying to rapidly industrialize itself to maybe like fight off this massive city, but it's like it's so massive it just consumes it. Like they're shooting their all like nuclear weapons at it. But I mean, this is a laboratory made to conduct nuclear fusion.
Yeah.
So
It just absorbs all
it
the
just
energy
absorbs all the energy.
and sends it back to the sends it throughout the city so the city can have power.
Goodness. Oh my goodness, this is
That's
so
very
crazy.
interesting. Very crazy. And then once it does absorb a city or a planet rather, the people of said planet would just become, because there wouldn't be any benefit to harvesting them,
No,
so they would just like become citizens basically in
because
the city
if you,
wherever their planet was absorbed,
yeah,
and then they would just be like, well, we're in the city now, what do we do? So as these pilgrims are traveling across this city, they just come across these planet sections of, all these people that are from the
oh
same
yeah,
planet, and it's like, what are you guys doing? Oh, we're just traveling to the center. What are you guys doing? Oh, we were just absorbed 1,000 years ago, and
it's like
we don't.
they have,
Nobody knows what it was like. We lost all our records, so all of us know is this city.
and I mean they don't have to go like completely back to the Stone Age. Maybe a lot of these people, a lot of these people have spaceships still, and they're in like these massive spaceships, and they're flying, trying to navigate, and a lot of them get lost on their way to
Yeah.
the center. And also I love your idea of these pilgrims like coming across these planets that have been absorbed, and these planets are like haven't even got to that point yet. Like they have another like couple thousand years before their society deteriorates into like pilgrimage society where they're like leaving their planet. Because at this point we've established that the, let's say, like the robots don't need to consume the planet, like they don't need to rip the planet apart anymore for its natural resources because of their atom generators, or I forgot what we called them. Um, and so like these people are like they're still trying to make it work on their home planet. Like they're using all like the sophisticated all their sophistication that they have to stay alive, and then they finally see a pilgrimage coming by, and then they join them, and then they just continue on
Hmm. And the pilgrimage just gets bigger and bigger and bigger as
bigger
it
and
goes
bigger.
down.
And there needs to be an element of hopelessness. Like it's so vast,
I
it's so
I think
big.
there definitely is.
That's good. That's good. 'Cause I like
Anyone who knows how long a light year is like it's pretty hopeless.
well, maybe there needs to be a shadow. Maybe there is spaceships. Maybe they um have faster than light travel, but you can't really travel faster than light when there's a massive wall in your way. You have to find the door.
Yeah,
You have to find
yeah,
the passageway.
uh-huh. Yeah. That is what you would have to do. So are the pilgrims in spaceships?
So that's the question. I would say, like, just to give them hope, do you want to put them in spaceships?
Hang on. A second ago you said hopelessness. Now you're talking about giving them hope?
Yeah, just a drop.
Just a drop of hope?
Just a drop of hope. Because like what is the hope? You find the laboratory control room. And in the control
Right.
room you control the robots. You can see a map of the laboratory. You have the entire laboratory's power at your fingertips, to the point where there are so
Mm,
many starbs absorbed that you have enough power to change reality. I don't know, create teleporters. I don't know. You could you would almost have enough power to, yeah,
but here's the thing.
bend space and time. You could bend.
Having this in the galaxy um would not be beneficial to the inhabitants of said galaxy.
What do you mean? The city, like the
I
city in the
mean,
in space?
yes, the city it's a parasite. It's an
Yeah.
invasive species.
Uh huh.
It's not the type of thing that you're like, "Oh, we need to help this." It's the type of thing that you're like, okay, if we could get rid of this, we would, but we can't, so we just have to live with it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be like fighting a mountain with a toothpick.
Yeah.
You're trying to like you want to
So
destroy the mountain.
so then different people would be trying to get to the center for different reasons.
Yeah.
Some people would want to try to control it, other people would want to try to shut it down,
Mm-hmm.
and other people would just want answers, probably. Among other reasons, I'm sure.
Of course, of course.
But here's what I'm wondering. The robots are building, right?
Yeah, they're
What
doing.
if they stop? Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. The robots, as they build, they're sealing the the wall so that the oxygen inside the city stays inside the city.
Oh,
But
yeah.
if you stop the robots, they stop sealing it, and so the oxygen and everything starts getting sucked into space.
And what
So
does
it's
this do?
almost like so it's almost like you have to keep the robots building in order to keep everyone in the city alive. And if you shut the robots off, right? So if the pilgrims got to the center and there's one who's like, I'm going to shut this down so no other planets are absorbed, and so that these people on these planets can keep living their lives and not get inducted into this endless hopelessness of metal and just cold, unnatural, inorganic existence. So he wants to shut it down, but if he shuts it down, that kills everyone in the city.
So is it
Not
could
immediately.
could he possibly have the robots seal the city and stop building but seal it? Could he give them a new
He
order?
could if he knew how to if he knew how to
Mm-hmm. That would
if
take
he knew how
time.
to give that order,
He would have to
but
study
he
the
doesn't know.
records that they find in the laboratory of how to
Yeah,
control and alter
yeah,
the
exactly.
orders of these robots. So it makes me think of a really cool story that we could tell of
Maybe he
somebody
doesn't. Maybe he just wants to make that choice for everyone.
he doesn't
Maybe
want to
he
make the
just
choice for everyone.
no, he wants to make the choice for everyone and just put them out of their misery.
Oh, yeah.
You know, maybe he doesn't want. Maybe he doesn't want it to survive. I
And
don't know.
and originally I love the idea of the entire city is airtight. But originally I never I guess in my imaginings it's just like it's like space. It's the cold heart of soulless of space, but it's just there's a structure in it and there's no air in certain places. Maybe there is like gas pockets of like these massive air generators, but it's not sealed off. Like to
Yeah.
truly explore, you would have to be wearing some sort of atmospheric suit.
Right.
Um, but still, let's say like if the robots stopped building, something bad happened. Like I like that
Okay.
idea.
Okay. Here's my so my new idea is that the robots are somehow keeping the whole city together.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure how that works. Maybe like maintenance, like as the robots are building, they build more robots that keep that provide maintenance for the city, but like they're in space. So does stuff really decay in space? I don't know.
I don't know. Probably. There's probably asteroids that come through and just crash through
Yeah,
walls.
and they just crash through. Right.
Black holes. There's lots of stuff
They
in space.
probably just harvest the black hole
Yeah, they would probably just
to get their material from there because the black hole is just like infinitely dense. So they would just
maybe black holes are
use all
like
that
anchor
density
points.
to create more matter. Not more matter, but reorganize the matter.
Use antimatter for their antimatter is an endless source of energy.
No, well, we're getting into antimatter now.
Antimatter. Sounds
So not
delicious.
only do they have matter generators, they have antimatter
They have
generators.
antimatter generators. This is like a super advanced
Well, I mean, they'd have to be.
post-apocalyptic
They've been
society.
around for.
Hundreds of millions of years.
Well, this isn't just a post-apocalyptic society. This is like a post-multi-apocalyptic society.
And like apocalypse doesn't
However
even
that
have,
works.
it's more like these people were advanced to
It's
a
a
point.
constant apocalypse.
It's a
It's not
constant.
like it happened, boom, it's over, we're
It's
surviving. It
still happening.
is the apocalypse.
It's
There,
like the nukes went
there's
off and
no
they're
hope. There's
still
only
going off.
suffering. There's just misery, and you just have to live with it or die.
And like and
That's
people
what it is.
die. And people die all the time because they can't, like
Lots
the
of people
pilgrims, they
die
can't
all
find
the
enough
time.
food. They can't find
And
enough
then they
water.
probably get eaten,
They get eaten by anything and everything,
including their friends.
including their friends. Like you got the cannibalistic people. Hate cannibals.
Yeah.
Um,
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
sometimes you gotta do. I mean, I understand that, but like, I don't like the thought.
And then there are the fusion creatures that we talked about earlier that are just randomly around eating people, harvesting
Hmm.
people, maybe.
And there's
I don't know.
and maybe like the fusion creatures will are like
They're
they're
looking for the antimatter,
they're parasites and they go around and they suck energy
and the
from
robots have to keep them at bay.
and the robots, and there are certain there's robots that are, I love that. The
That are
robots
built
fight
to
them.
repair what
Hmm.
they destroy. And if you shut down the robots that are building, you shut down all the robots, including those. So it's
Hmm.
really just a matter of time before the city just degrades into
Yeah,
complete
it would.
destruction.
But the robots that also protect from these fusion parasites, they also will kill humans because sometimes they get them mixed up.
Yeah, exactly.
So you just give
Exactly.
those things a wide berth. They'll call them
Right.
stalkers. The stalkers are looking for the human or for the parasites.
The fusioners.
Or like one pilgrimage, we'll hear about another pilgrimage that a stalker found, and let's just say nobody survived from that pilgrimage.
They're
One
just a
le-
bunch of crusty old bones.
one less group of people to make their way to the center, the goal. Like there's
Yeah.
legends built around these center, like the laboratories, um,
Right. Right.
control room. But I was
Right.
really thinking about like a cool story you could tell in it of like somebody who finds a map,
Uh
and
huh.
the map is of the labyrinth, and they don't understand it at first, but then they come and they find like an old timer that like has been like a madman that's been studying the laboratory, the city for years and years, and everybody thinks he's the old kook, he's the crazy guy, and the kid brings them this map, and they decipher it together, and they find out how to get to the control room.
Yes.
There's a journey at foot. And so then they have to like
Right.
hire they have to hire somebody secretly. They don't want the either like any like governmental or the other pilgrimages to find out that they know how to get to, how to get through the labyrinth and get to the control room.
Right. That's the most valuable information
in
in
the
existence,
in
really.
existence. And they find me like a smuggler or somebody, and they take them, and but somehow, some way, the information gets out that they have a map to the control room, and now everybody is chasing them.
Because everybody wants the map.
Everybody wants the map. And maybe like the old timer like makes the kid memorize the map and makes him like study every detail about like the old timer, the crazy guy shows the kid everything that he knows to equip. And of course, after he does this, he trains him, he dies. And it's just
He
the kid.
sacrifices himself
He sacrifices himself.
and becomes more powerful than their enemies could imagine.
Mm-hmm. 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 Might be too on the nose there. But you're getting
Maybe,
the point. This
maybe a bit on the nose.
But dude, it would be a crazy adventure of
Yeah,
this kid just like running for his life, trying to make it through. The smuggler and him have to like learn to trust each other. Um like the smuggler wants to betray him,
nowhere,
but then the smuggler also has like a heart or something, or like a redeeming quality. He comes back and
but there's
saves him.
nowhere for them to go. There's no safe
There's no
zone.
what?
There's no base.
There's
When
no
you're playing tag and you're on base, so they can't get you.
Oh, but there's no base.
Or you're playing baseball and you're on base, so they can't catch you.
But
There's no base. There's
there's
no
no
timeout.
base. No
There's just
nothing.
running, running, running.
Oh
And you
my.
can stop running when you get to the middle. But here's the issue: they're going to the middle, right?
Yeah, but
But
they don't know it's
nobody's
there.
chasing them.
Say that one more time.
True, too. They're going to the middle, and everyone's chasing them, so they're leading everyone to the middle.
Oh shoot! But they got to be the first ones that get there.
Exactly.
In the bad guys, or like either the governmental or like these shady other pilgrims that are willing to cut throats. They want to find the map, and
Everyone who knows about it.
they want to get there first, because whoever gets to the control room first
Bad people,
controls the city and controls
everything.
everybody that lives in it. They will have the
It's
most
like the
powerful,
anti-life equation
most
from
power,
DC.
dude.
Anyway,
That'd be crazy.
yeah, it would be like obviously it wouldn't be all power, but it would be as much power as anyone could ever get.
Yeah, like it would be enough to bend time and
Controlling
space.
the entire, well, maybe not that much power, but controlling the entire city, which is the entire, like it's the entire galaxy. Not the entire galaxy, I guess, but a lot of the galaxy, a lot of solar systems, probably.
It would be unstoppable.
It would be too much power for there'd be too many things too many things that could be done for one person to be able to know them all.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So maybe
That's
this.
why when he gets there,
Hmm.
he just shuts it all off.
Yeah, he just kills it and lets the city rot.
And he listens to the screams at night, except there is no night because there is no day. There just
Dude,
is.
that's chills, bro. There is no night. There is no
That
day.
means there is no sunrise.
There's only the emptiness of the labyrinth as it croaks and grinds, as it rips itself apart.
When everyone slowly dies.
And everyone, dude,
And it ends. But all the planets that it didn't assimilate.
They get to live.
They get to live.
And maybe, just
They don't
maybe,
even know. They don't even know the fate that they escaped.
maybe, just maybe, there are some around stars that were able to carve themselves out a way to survive.
Yeah.
That would be
Well,
like, so it's like certain, it's not just surviving the apocalypse, the constant apocalypse of this city, but it's
mhm.
also then surviving the cataclysm of the aftermath of the destruction of the apocalypse. That was hard to say.
Yeah. It's like the apocalypse, and so you think it can only get better, but then it gets
It gets
worse.
worse.
And you're like, I thought we just had to survive this, but it got worse. The ground is breaking up underneath their feet.
The roof is falling.
The
The
walls are
the oh yeah.
exploding. They're getting sucked into space.
Oh my goodness. Like they're attached to stars, and stars move around a galaxy. So like they're pulling, the gravitational is pulling on the city as it just rips apart.
Then it just
All
starts.
all because he didn't want to wield the power. But him
Yeah,
wielding the power, maybe the fate would have been far worse.
yeah, that's true.
When men try to play God, they seem to
That
only bring
means
destruction. Dang, this episode was heavy. I love it.
yeah, but I like the idea how some of these more civilized societies around the stars would probably figure out a way to break off the rest of the city from their little Dyson sphere.
Mm-hmm.
And they can just exist, continue to exist around a star.
And maybe like the main character can release the information, like lost scientifical discoveries of how to create Dyson spheres to all the civilizations, that those who are around a star can make themselves a way out. But
Doesn't
men,
want to do
oh, but
that.
then that could just restart the
Yeah, it's just
entire
gonna
thing.
start everything all over again. Oh, so he has that discussion with himself or with the smuggler or whoever's with him, the princess. And he says, you know, these people need to know this. And then it's like, well, if they know this, they're just going to do the same thing. And if they don't do it today, they're going to do it tomorrow or the next day. It's just a matter of time before everything in the galaxy is right back to where it is right now. And so he just, all the information dies with him.
Okay. Maybe he argues and he says that if they're gonna figure it out sooner or later. Maybe not these people, maybe not their children, but maybe another people, and they'll just do it again.
Yeah. And
And he destroys it though still.
that's the that's the plight of humanity, creating our own destruction.
It's what happens when we try to play God.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe
That's
it's
what
in our
happens when
nature.
good men do nothing. I mean, it is if you think about it. From the very beginning, we've been trying to play God.
I feel like though we are explorers, humanity, and so we
Yeah,
always are searching for something. But I feel like there might be a certain aspiration. I think I'm saying that correctly. Aspiration around the reasoning of why you seek to know things. Like let's take like the nuclear bomb. Do you think they made that because they were trying to play God, or they just did it because they could? or they figured something
They
out.
did it because they wanted to win World War II.
I think they did it.
They did it because Germany was also trying to do it, and they just did it first.
That's that's fair. Well,
I think that this is a good place to end. That's what I think.
well, let's do
I
some
think we got it.
sponsors then.
Yes, absolutely.
This show is sponsored by and brought to you. I don't think it's brought to you by, but it is definitely sponsored by IQ or Incredible Quest. It's a tabletop RPG system that is currently being developed. I'm one of the developers on this endeavor, and it is a really fun tabletop RPG system. It's basically like a D20 system. So if you enjoy like Pathfinder or D&D, you'll definitely enjoy this one. But it's really good because it's great for people that like in-depth games, but then at the same time, it is very user friendly and newcomer friendly. So it is really, really fun. And that is one of the sponsors.
Yes, and we have another sponsor, a writer by the name of Nathan Wayne. He has some books on Amazon. One of them is called The Divided Kingdom of Sunland. It's a fantasy series, high fantasy, where the basically like Star Wars, just
it's
fantasy instead of
it's like
sci-fi.
it's like Star Wars but fantasy. So like the Lord of the
Yeah,
Rings, but more fanciful,
more Star Warsy.
more Star Wars Lord
Yeah,
of the Rings. You know what? I mean, I'm
more
curious,
more Star Wars than Lord of the Rings.
dude.
Yeah,
I like it. I like it a lot.
is a sponsor. Nathan Wayne, Amazon. You can find his books on Amazon. We're not sponsored by Amazon.
Link will be in the description.
Yes.
Yes, I love it. All
Thanks
right,
for
DJ,
listening.
that was a great one. Yeah, thanks
It
all you
was.
for listening. Thank you, listeners. You guys are the best. And we'll see you next time. Bye.